Okay, we're here on the stage before the match Alliance versus LGD. What do you think about this team? You won them already in the past. Are you prepared?
Yeah, we played them at WCA and we won 3-2. So it was hard games, and I think they will be even harder this time. So we're looking forward for the games.
But you already know them. You know how to play against them, yeah?
Yeah, a bit.
And have you prepared for them, or you just gonna play your game?
We have prepared. We're gonna play our game, but we made sure that we are ready for whatever they can come up with.
Okay, thank you very much. Good luck, and yeah, good luck.
Well, my God, that was a pretty efficient interview. Straight to the point on that one. Not really anything surprising from it. Alliance like to play their type of game. But Gods, you were mentioning it a bit. I mean, Zhao Wade is the director, and he's a high caliber kind of a drafter here. I imagine he's not going to do what Virtus.pro had done and allow Alliance just to play whatever the hell they want. So what would be Alliance's kind of fallback plan if they're not gifted the opportunity of the, Ake Chen and let's say like the Bulldog Nature's Prophet?
I think it's still a very similar playstyle where it is push focus. It's just a lot harder to execute that without to me, the linchpin is the Chen.
Yeah,
I feel like if there's one
absolutely.
hero you ban against Alliance for a team like LGD, it's Chen. From there, you can target a ban onto Bulldog's heroes, but he's got like enough with either the Lone Druid or the Nature's Prophet, or even we saw him go Beastmaster over Nature's Prophet, that you may just leave all of his in the pool and say take out Chen and Enchantress, for example, if you're worried about both junglers. So I think it's pretty open for LGD as far as what they can do with the bans and then go from there.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. I feel like this is going to be Bulldog coming out with like a new, like his new back to his Fury and everything,
yeah.
rather than like the Beastmaster. Because I feel like the Beastmaster was kind of just because it complements with the Chen so well. So
What do you guys think is going to be the lane to watch here? I mean, it's easy to kind of point out something like maybe versus S4 in the mid lane here, but what do you think is going to be the critical lane for both of these teams? Or you could say for LGD, it's such and such lane, and Alliance, it's such and such lane here. What would you say, Gods?
I'm always most interested personally in just how the supports are going to match up and how, like, what kind of different approaches they take. LGD may put more emphasis on helping out the mid lane. I feel like a team like Alliance is often more prioritizing farm towards, like, I guess the Bulldog as well as Load, at least as far as the early game laning stage goes. They don't. I don't really feel like they give S4 as much support in the mid lane as some other teams, perhaps.
yeah, not really too much. You kind of just see them do like a rotation once they take the safe lane tower, or once they take the off lane tower, and then they go try to make the moves with S4. But usually you see S4 kind of do it on his own. Like,
Is S4 going to be okay in that mid lane then? Because you're talking about players like MMY who frequently will be going for something like the Earth Spirit here. Is S4 okay under that kind of a pressure? You know, not even just the MMY Earth Spirit. They've also been known to pick up a lot of Bounty Hunter, let's say. So S4 could be under some serious pressure in this matchup where he has not faced much in the past.
I feel like he plays at least a good amount of the time. He has like a hero with the type of an escape, like his Pucks, his Queen of Pains, and then like Bat Riders. I guess a little bit susceptible to the ganks, but at the same time you do have that Firefly. You can move up onto the high ground, push the waves in constantly, and then go to the jungle if you need to retreat. But I feel like he might be under the gun just a little bit if LGD just constantly makes those rotations. Because we did see as well, I think it was yesterday, September was playing the Doom, and his rotations were perfect. Every single time he made a move, he got the kill, survived, got out, and you could just see the advantage they gained from it.
And as far as LGD, if they want to apply pressure, I think getting a hero like a Doom who can roam before Alliance get like their necessary levels in farm. For Alliance, to me, the timing when they like start go taking towers is always around like 10 to 15 minutes.
Yeah.
Hero like Doom, he comes online before then, at least as far as his first peak, where it's like level 3, level 4, you pick up whatever good creep you can find, then you go to the offlane or you go towards mid lane, you pop a smoke, and then just start whacking people with the Infernal Blade, and you're good to go. So I think for LGD, it's early game laning stage aggression, and then after that, they'll slow the tempo down. But in the laning stage, they're going to try to get as much pressure onto Alliance as possible. I feel like Alliance, as far as teams go, get away with way more in their lanes than most. Like, they're a team who will just accrue a big gold lead without getting any kills just by farming the lane, the jungle, and teams just don't put enough pressure on them. But LGD, I think, will kind of have a plan for that.
I feel like we saw that the most, at least. I feel like at TI3, like that was the alliance that we saw. Just they always would just get exactly what they want to do, just farm on EGM, farm the pull. Ake would do his own thing, Bulldog was doing another thing, and they I guess they have that presence sometimes that people don't really want to just pressure the lanes too hard, but.
It happened last Saturday too against EG in the best of 3 finals.
Exactly.
I think both games, it's like 10 minutes in, Alliance have maybe 1 or 2 kills, but they're up 3k gold, 4k gold, and you're just like, well, EG really didn't do too much in this early game. So for LGD, having active support presence is going to be crucial.
Active support presence probably in the vein of picking up that Earth Spirit or perhaps that Bounty Hunter or something like that. Because, I mean, when you look over the picks for both these teams, it's actually pretty damn different, with the exception that both of them love the hell out of Bat Rider, whether it's S4's Bat Rider in the mid lane or the off-lane presence there for like Zhao Wei to pick up, let's say. Everything else seems pretty damn different as far as it goes. So on that note, what are they going to be the signature pickups for these teams, you would imagine? It's easy to kind of point out the signature pickups for a team like Alliance, so maybe more so for the side of LGD there, Gods.
Yeah, the Bat Rider you mentioned is a key go-to. I think Doom is actually a possible even first 2-pick contender for them. I think once Fog mentioned, I'm like, yeah, that's actually a really good hero to disrupt Alliance's early game.
And LGD also, they've run the Doom in the offlane, so I feel like if they pick it, if they pick it early, at least Alliance might be like, oh man, that could be an offlane Doom. Like, LGD has a big diversity in the way they play all these different heroes.
So what do you think Alliance would be their best response then? Let's say we head into the draft and an early Doom does come up here from Zhao Wei, let's say. Like, how do you best prepare for something like that? For some people, they feel like you could build up a lot of, anti-Doom targets where it's like Doom has that problem where there's too many Doom targets. What am I going to be going for in these fights? Or do you just fall back for someone who's like maybe a strong Lincoln's candidate or any sort of strong defensive hold?
The Doom also could be kind of scary for them to pick up as well, because Doom can be very susceptible to those heavy pushes if Alliance has like that heavy type push lineup, if he doesn't get those successful ganks in the early game. So I don't know. You have to really think about it. It has to go very, very well for LGD if they do pick it, because they can get punished heavily for it.
Lifestealer, Aggressive's last match.
Yep.
That's not great against the timing pushes, but it's good
we-
against Chen. That's the one thing. It's not so I want to say like, oh, LG is going to ban Chen. Like, they can pick up like a Lifestealer, a Doom, just eat up his entire creep army, throw some minuses out, and just completely counter the Chen that way. So if they're giving away Chen, I very much think it's because they have a clear plan to pick some of these heroes. But
No way they're giving Chen. Come on.
Yeah.
Unless Zhao Wei has something
Yeah,
up his sleeve, or if they could do the bounty, but that's also the same kind of thing. It's that double-edged blade. Like, if you don't have that successful bounty, you're gonna get pushed down. You don't have the heroes to deal with it.
Hey, Lotus played Lifestealer too, so we may see a Lifestealer pop up. Actually, one of the first Lifestealer games I saw Loda play, he did do the Ancient Golem stack up, but in that particular game, which I want to say maybe it was like Nanyang qualifiers, I'm not too sure exactly. He spent way too much time in the creep camp and ended up not finding too much farm for himself. How come every time they look at Ake, he has to look back at me like that? It just makes me feel uncomfortable in a positive way.
Jimmies a bit.
Yeah. But then, of course, the man himself, Loda, who's been in this game for a long, long time. And you see their recent match for a gyrocopter there. And when you're going against a team like Alliance, and you're already mentioning a bit, when they have so much going and it's so much to keep in check, you have S4 in the mid lane. Are you serious? Did he really just do a meme face right there at the moment?
I mean, of course.
Well, you have S4 to kind of keep tabs on, Bulldog to keep tabs on, and then you also want to keep Loda in check. What do you think a team like LGD is going to look to add the extra pressure on? Is it, like you were mentioning before, looking to keep S4 kind of, off of his momentum swing, or, do you look to take advantage of LGD's safe lane and just kind of keep Bulldog back? That didn't seem to work out so well for virtus.pro, who were able to kind of bring down Bulldog a couple of times, because then you have Loda and S4 to kind of continue to pick up the pieces.
I think pressuring S4 you can get a lot of value out of, because he's the main tempo controller for Team Alliance, and also your player against him maybe is the player you want to have a great game and to snowball out of control. Aggressive is kind of similar to Loda in a lot of ways, I feel, where he plays, he plays these heroes that will get involved and will fight and look to create space when necessary. So you want maybe to snowball. He's more of a carry-oriented mid player, but if you can shut down S4, ruin Alliance's ability to control the tempo of the game while setting up your mid player for success, like that's like a great way to approach this game for LGD.
I 100% agree with you.
Any plausible options here for going for the Wisp? You have MMY, who's a strong Wisp contender, and you already know EGM could also be there. It's something Alliance have reached for in the past.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, it's
Why
definitely.
not?
I think it's gonna. This is one of the matchups that will definitely be contested.
If they Alliance wouldn't do an IO if they get the Chen or a jungler, but if and when those get banned out, then you're looking at IO suddenly kind of coming into the picture as a possible support for them.
All right. Well, we are getting ready to load into the draft here, gentlemen. But I want to hear, we normally call for these predictions after we get the benefit of seeing the draft here. But
Pre-draft?
Pre-draft kind of predictions here.
That's worth, what, 2 trophies each?
We'll think about it.
I mean, my draft predictions are
Like,
terrible, so
just
I
based
kinda
on,
I
like,
kind of like this idea better.
My last
Play
two, my last
style
two
and-
were off
and
yesterday, but
stylistic matchups, though.
Yeah.
You know, when you're considering it like that.
I just think these teams are so even. Like I can't even say like if anything it's like 55-45 for one of the teams, but it's too close to call. I don't know.
Can we see like one ban? Can I see if they ban?
One ban? If they
If they
ban Chen,
Chen, I'm going with LGD. If they don't, I'm going with Alliance.
I can dig that. I can dig that.
Okay, they're flying through the bans, though. They are going to rid of the
Okay.
LD.
LGD.
LGD. No, Alliance definitely
Oh,
have.
that feels so unfair now. That's like Ake is their god, right? Like,
Yeah.
come on.
Alliance, I mean, have had Chen banned against them before. Like
Yeah.
that's we've been on panels before where we've talked about you want to ban Bulldog series, but Aki's Chen is a big problem, and then the teams would ban Aki's Chen and still lose. So it's not the only.
Question for you. What is scarier, Ake Chen or Jarek's Earth Spirit?
I mean, Ake Chen when you're versing Alliance is probably just as scary as Jarek's on Earth Spirit. I don't know.
I think probably Jarex is their spirit, just because I think Liquid's a little bit ahead of Alliance right now.
All right, fair enough.
Maybe that attributes to the rest of his team as well, though. But just because they've been having some ridiculous teamwork.
Alliance do give the respect nod to LGD and what we were mentioning a bit in that Bounty Hunter
yeah.
a bit, so they will get rid of it there. And LGD, of course, who will have first pick. What do you think? We were mentioning the Doom a bit, but Earth Spirit is also still out there.
And
so-
Alliance just like they're one of the few teams who just don't care about Earth Spirit. They
Invoker 2, which has been a very popular pickup for maybe.
It's weird because these are heroes that normally just want to first pick, but Alliance actually don't prioritize them so much, so you don't have to just straight up first pick an Invoker. S4 can play Invoker, but it's not like a
They take
must
it
grab
anyway.
for him.
All right, so maybe, who I as mentioned has played this hero, 6.86. It is a 7-8 record for him, but
I guess LG are just going to like do a typical Invoker Earth Spirit opener, since Alliance don't play the Earth Spirit really.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't see why not.
and then you might have to consider if your Alliance being able to secure that puck, let's say,
Yeah.
for S4 in the mid lane. One of the few heroes that could evade a lot of trouble from that heavy pressured Earth Spirit.
Yeah, yesterday they even ran a Jug mid against the roaming Earth Spirit, which worked out really well
Yep.
for them.
So what do we think Alliance is going to go for? Do we think the Furion?
Yeah, it'll be a Bulldog hero and a support most likely. So
Yeah.
either Furion or Beastmaster, and then they'll pick up one of their two
Yep.
supports probably. Venge is often picked up by them. Oh, but they're good puck for a stage. Wow, that's
They're just like, they know that they're going to
Maybe
get
they
Earth
do the
Spirit.
Earth Spirit. Maybe they do the Earth Spirit here. EGM has been known to play it.
I don't know if I've seen him play in a pro game. Like you're saying, you've probably seen him in scrims play, pubs
at
play.
least one game in a
At least
pro
one
game
game.
where he played
All
it,
right.
but-
I mean, we've seen Fly play it and actually do work with it now. So
Yeah.
I'm a believer in anyone picking it up and having to go with it.
The only reason I
but,
say it is
but
because
they pick up the puck, so it's like I think they're just accepting the fact that LGD are probably going to go for it.
Yeah, I mean, the only reason I say that it could be the Earth Spirit here is because Puck can pressure an Invoker quite hard. You know, you just constantly are spamming the orbs on him. If you keep hitting him, you're pushing the waves in, and then that gives the option for the Earth Spirit to try to come in. But we'll see if they do opt to go for that. They're going to go for the Furion instead, just sticking with their most comfortable heroes.
Yeah, this is
The
TI3.
concern becomes like, hey, if you don't pick a Bulldog hero now, Prophet as well as Beastmaster get
Beastmaster's
banned
gonna
out
be
next stage. So that at that point, like his big three are all banned out.
Exactly.
He can play others. We've seen him on heroes like Weaver when necessary, but you'd want him on one of
Yeah,
those three.
that's a really good point.
I wonder now if you're LGD, if you just still are gung-ho about just going right for the Earth Spirit, or if you're like, well, now they picked up the puck. You're looking at the situation where it's like you're probably not going to get any sort of first blood or first kill happening towards this mid lane on this puck, and then you're kind of stuck in those situations where you're running around, not finding farm, stuck at level 1, maybe 2 for a while.
Lion.
And they're
Yeah,
going to go
Lion,
for the
yeah,
Lion
but
instead. So
it's a guaranteed
Instant
hex,
disable.
Yeah, for the puck. Like,
Yep.
once the puck comes out, you want to have Lion, and team like Alliance, if you pick Earth Spirit, they'll just then ban the Lion to take it away from you.
And I mean, MMY Lion.
Yep.
It's a thing to fear.
Okay. So nothing like crazy or unexpected. I mean, we didn't expect anything crazy from Alliance in there. With the puck, I first
I guess
picked
the
maybe
puck was
a
the
little
most. Yeah.
out of left field, but for
Very
LGD,
crazy.
this is very cookie cutter LGD as far as their opening 2 picks.
Ban the Wisp.
and a ban on the Wisp here. All right, so start to reach for that secondary support pick here for Ake, but can hold on. He has a bunch of options. Do we know LGD for picking up maybe a lot of... Oh, the Lone Druid had been banned, but maybe
Yeah.
Beastmaster could be something as an option for Zhao Wei.
Yeah, he's been known to play it a bunch. The Doom is still in the pool
Yeah.
as well.
Doom for LGD seems quite appealing. And then they just need some kind of carry for aggressive that is pretty strong in lane. Jug, Ember. Sven is even pretty good against the Nature's Prophet as well, but...
Yeah.
Also, a Witch Doctor wouldn't be too shabby, do you think, to kind of pair together with a Lion? Typically very nice to have against something like the Nature's Prophet.
Yes, yeah. At this stage, like it's going to give them some good sustain, some good lane control. Either Witch Doctor, with Dazzle kind of falling off, I think Witch Doctor kind of becomes like a top priority kind of support here for Alliance.
Alliance will rid of the Night Stalker, something that has been a favorable pickup for LGD to be able to kind of contain or have control rather of the map, especially when we're going to be forced to go against Alliance who have that dire side advantage here. And then LGD's response is getting rid of the Spectre, fearing maybe the extra global flair that Alliance could bring to the table.
Yeah, that's just something that we see a lot of teams doing. Like, even with like Puck or Furion, as soon as they hit their sixes, they just go. There's no downtime. You just coil, Spectre ult, Furion ult, etc. Just someone's probably gonna die based off of that, unless you're super prepared. Alliance banding out the gyro, so they don't want LGD to be able to react to their early if they decide to make some early moves.
Or maybe that does mean they want to ramp up the push game a little bit. Maybe.
Yeah, and probably just to deal with Gyro innately is pretty decent versus the Treants, and if he's trying to pull the wave.
Yeah, Gyro, as far as like the carry options goes, the one that kind of comes online the fastest. Like he just level 6, level 7, just with the phase boots, Aquila, TP, he's going to get involved. A hero like an Ember Spirit can TP in, but he's not going to offer as much as like a Gyrocopter, for example.
Plus, it's an aggressive staple. I mean, did do some nice work at TI5 with it.
Yeah.
I wonder if they consider the Lifestealer here.
Just like you were saying before, the Vengeful Spirit. Yeah, very good pickup. Helps them with their push, helps them with the Roshan.
Now we look back the way here for LGD. And seeing commitments like this, maybe you start considering what your offlane options are. We already toyed with the idea of going for something like the Doom. The Beastmaster also still out there for the picking. They kind of need that hard setup, but there is any sort of BKB candidate potential here for Alliance yet.
They did still, yesterday they did pick the Ember into the Puck, and I think it was a third pick Ember as well for that, of course, because of the Searing Chain's not able to phase shift out of it. But they do opt for the Beastmaster instead, which...
Now, they have that extra bit of vision. You have Alliance here who have already some decent roast potential coming that way. Having the Bird to be able to scout things out, kind of maintain the control where Night Stalker had already been taken out. And Alliance here, taking a page out from what we've seen from Na'Vi. They grab up the Lycanthrope for themselves.
In general, a very underrated pick and something that we're seeing kind of emerge here and there with Na'Vi, one of the big teams who are playing it a lot, and great when you want to have... Like Loda typically doesn't play like a safe lane carry that's as push oriented, but with the Chen not in the picture, they need someone who's going to kind of bring that creep army to the table and just give them that little bit extra oomph when they go for that push.
How Treants are no joke either.
Yeah,
having to deal with that as support is never fun.
Does this mean, don't mean to interrupt, does this mean that Alliance now are going to be playing against the clock a little bit here?
Finally.
September Phoenix. I was wondering, when we were talking about the picks earlier, I was kind of thinking in my head, like, do they consider even giving them Lone Druid just to play some Phoenix? But this is the, anti-pusher that we saw at Shanghai, used mostly against the Lone Druid, or even with the Lone Druid, because of how good Sunray is with the Bear, with or against the Bear.
And like you were saying, if Alliance is kind of on a clock, I guess we don't really know what their last hero is. They could go a bit more greedy for EGM, but Invoker, of course, you don't really want to play versus that in the late game. And the one benefit that they do have is that they're going to be able to, of course, Furion, he's just going to be able to split the map up constantly, and Lycan as well. They're going to be able to push really heavily, and as well as probably claim the first Roshan. They can probably uncontested.
They can push heavily, but they don't have the sustain yet.
Yes.
They don't have the Chen, the mech potential pipe buyer as well. They don't. A Witch Doctor comes to mind as a hero that could bring them some sustain, or they need a hero that can actually buy a Nature's Prophet can buy the mech, but typically that's not going to be where Bulldog goes with his itemization. So,
do you think that they could go towards some sort of team fight thing and go for a silencer even for EGM? Because I have seen them do that in the past, and it's extremely good versus the Phoenix. But that's you're kind of emphasizing toward a support Phoenix then.
Would put all
it's
the pressure...
good against Invoker as well.
Yeah, it's really good versus Invoker too. The Curse we've seen, we saw, I think, I forget who it was that died to the Curse. Yeah, Super ended up dying to the Curse because you kind of like you underestimate how much damage it really ticks up once you keep casting spells and invoking spells.
Would just the magic missile stun though be enough at that point? That's the only lockdown you're going to be really banking on outside of whatever the puck can get
Puck
done.
and Venge.
I kind of like Witch Doctor here for Alliance.
Witch Doctor.
Dazzle's similar thing to the Witch Doctor, where it's like you want some sustain. Wow, there's heals and sustain, but this is less about the heals, I feel, and much more about the team fight.
That's a new hero.
Okay.
That's a complete. I love Warlock. I love the concept. His spells are amazing. It's just always really hard to find a place where to put him. And
what would you say his shortcomings are, though? Is it playing with those cooldowns? Once the rock's out, and let's say for whatever reason Alliance don't get the fight they were hoping for, then you're stuck with a cooldown?
A bit of what Fog said, where it's like laning him becomes quite difficult because it's like what you send him as like a safe lane support. He can kind of poke and harass a bit, but none of his spells are really that great early on. He needs to get. He's very level dependent. He's the same reason Omni Knight isn't really played in like competitive play all that much. Is just because like where do you put him? How do you lane him? How do you play him in a draft?
that could be another nice thing to kind of help them guarantee their Roshan, like I was kind of saying before.
Yeah.
And now he does go for the Ember Spirit, the last pick, to deal with puck and to deal with the split push.
They save it for last, and now it's like they make sure there's no other lockdown. Yeah. So they don't give Alliance a chance to pick up like a Shadow Shaman for that 5th pick, and then it's like, okay, now there's puck as well as Shadow Shaman and tons of control.
All right, gentlemen, at the start of this draft, you felt pretty confident that LGD were going to take it with a ban on Chen. Do you still stick with that, Gods?
Ooh. I'm gonna be a turncoat. I'm gonna go with Alliance for game 1.
LGD.
LGD, Alliance for Gods.
Yeah.
I will go with Alliance as well. We'll go ahead and throw it over to casters right now. We got LD and Ayesee. Gentlemen, take it away.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back again to the floor of the Cyber Arena. I'm Ayesee. This is LD. It's an alphabet soup kind of a cast, hype cast, and the second time we've had a chance to do this. I'm unbelievably excited. This was my series to watch coming in today, and I know it was yours as well.
This series really has it all. You've just got basically the dream team from China right now after the latest roster shuffle, which coming into this event had not proven that they can live up to the hype. And in fact, I was starting to wonder, a lot of people were talking, is this going to be another situation where a dream team fails to live up to its potential or is good but not great? LGD was not performing at all in the online events they'd played leading into StarLadder, but so far, so good. They've gotten through their first best of 3, very convincing. Alliance, to me, is going to be their first big test. We're getting into it now. Crowd is pretty hyped up. No CIS teams in this match, but Alliance has seen a lot of big matches, a lot of big performances. They have been StarLadder champions in the past in this very venue. We're actually only like 10 feet from the stage, so I'm excited, man. This is a big one.
Oh, yeah, no, Alliance, I think, a team to watch coming into this. And, a team, we spent a lot of time talking to Loda. Before the match and getting his thoughts and stuff. He knows this LGD team is a team that is going to be a test. It's a team that is really going to force them to be a little bit, to play outside of their comfort zone a little bit. And I think that's what we're seeing now. Talk to me about this Warlock pick, my friend. I mean, it's obvious to say you drop the rock, you march down a lane and try to push a tower. But aside from that, what's this going to do to the lanes?
I mean, for the laning stage, obviously the Warlock's a bit on the greedier side. This is a hero that needs a lot of levels, a lot of space. And in that sense, it's a very iconic EGM hero, whether it's a Rubik or a Silencer, which Gods, or I think it was Fogged actually brought up. These are heroes that take longer to come online to supports, but hold that thought, early skirmish.
Here we go, Bulldog down to half health, as is aggressive in a lot of trouble, and he's going to be your first blood. As Bulldog manages to peck away from distance. Ake still giving pursuit. With the Venge, doesn't have the stun. MMY will make it back to the safety of his own tier 1, and looks like the laning phase will take shape. While we got time, let's take a look and see who's handling who. Zhao 8 going to be playing the Beastmaster out in the offlane. He'll be joined by, at least for now, September, who's walking out to the offlane with him on the Phoenix. Invoker, handled no surprise by maybe in mid. Will be aggressive, farming up our Ember Spirit in the safe lane, and he'll be assisted by MMY on the Lion. Other side of the river, S4 handling puck here in mid. A nice throwback for him. Shouldn't say throwback. Puck has become more popular, but still always fun to see him on that hero. Admiral Bulldog will be playing on the Prophet. No surprise. Ake helping out with the Vengeful Spirit out in the offlane along with him, while Loda is farming up the safe lane on the Lycan.
Look at this hit. Xiao 8 at EGM early on, duking it out at the side camp. Xiao 8 going for the greedy Iron Talon jungle play. At EGM, this is one of the nice things about Warlock. He's pretty good at trading with the heal early on. Actually manning up on the Beastmaster and doing okay, so maybe part of the game plan, pick a support who's pretty tanky, still pushes well, but better at trading blows than something like a Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor more about keeping your carry healed up in the lane. So interesting play by EGM, but now that Xiao 8's entered the lane, he's going to rotate as well. But yeah, look at the Warlock pick. To me, this shows that Alliance want to be able to force team fights and convincingly win them, and it's in a lot of ways perhaps the answer to the Phoenix pick. So if you wanted to go for something like a Witch Doctor, that's more about the reliable sustain, but this could give you team fight supremacy.
Well, one way or another, it seems like Alliance is going to be really prioritizing, just trying to hit a timing in the early game. A lot of damage being poured out on the Maybe. He's in trouble under his own tier 1. One more auto attack will do it. S4 getting a solo kill under the tier 1 of LGD. That's not an easy task to perform, especially when it's a Puck versus an Invoker.
Yeah, and it's all the LGD heroes on the lane, the Beastmaster top. They don't have that support who can rotate. MMY's been busy. Pulley bottom line is very level-dependent support, and you need to help out the safe lane Ember Spirit. After the first blood, Nature's Prophet having a good start. If you leave him alone, he's going to get trashed. So S4 is able to play more aggressive in the mid lane and very well executed. This is when you want to kill Invoker. He's relatively low level. He doesn't hit all that hard. You get him to level 5, 6. The Forge Spirits start coming out. He gets the double Forge Spirit, and suddenly you can't really trade blows anymore.
Right. Great timing on that. And I'll tell you, everything seems to be going extremely well for Alliance right now. Even Bulldog is doing quite well out in this off lane. He's up to 11 CS. We are beginning to see a little bit of movement up towards top. Ayesee is under cover of smoke. He's going to move in from the south side. Here we go. EGM and Loader, they're going to go. Stun comes out. And Sunray's there trying to bring him down. It's not the Sunray enough to keep him alive. And then the very nice Icarus dive back to safety. So September showing that not only is the Phoenix great in team fights, great to save your teammates as well.
Well, while that was happening, they actually found a kill bottom lane. So Bulldog left alone. He had the great early start with Ake's support, but Ake leaves the lane, and they're going to take advantage. And with that, at the same time, looks like the Beastmaster did end up going down. The EGM able to finish him off with the damage over time. So good pick off there.
It's going to bring it to 3-1. Alliance doing quite well, as we can see the top 3 CSing heroes on the board, all belonging to the
They found S4 mid. Sunstrike's coming through. There's the stun, and they get the kill.
So LGD firing back as quickly as possible. 5 kills, 3.5 minutes. This is a busier early game than we've seen out of most games so far. Who do you think it's favoring so far, LD?
Oh, it's definitely favoring Alliance. Kills being traded, but Alliance getting a lot more farm here overall. I think for LGD, slightly falling behind the lane stage is still fine, though, just because they're running a support Beastmaster. This hero can catch up very quickly if he's ever allowed to move into the jungle. Or not a support Beastmaster, but a Beastmaster that can go Iron Talon jungle and can give the lane to the Phoenix.
Again, maybe in trouble. Ake's there, doesn't have enough mana. One more auto attack might be enough. No, the regen is there. However, Bulldog says, surprise! Found him in the trees and brings him down for the second time this game.
MMY might be able to turn it, though. There's the stun. He's under tower. The Sunray comes through. They got him.
S4 had bailed back to his own side. If he was around, maybe enough to deter that. Instead, he's going to be dove. Icarus dive, as a matter of fact. Phase shifts 1 auto attack. He should be able to make it away to safety, as he'll have the jaunt to get him back to his own safe high ground. But tell you what, man, 7 kills already.
They fished for the Sunstrike there. That would have been a sweet takedown, but he had bottled up. I think would have lived anyway, and it does not end up connecting. But, man, what an aggressive start here. I think the really good news for LGD, though, is Aggressive is getting a lot of space bottom. And this is a hero that the analyst mentioned there's not a whole lot of control for. And Ember is a good start, will be very tough to control in team fights. And he had a rough lane at the beginning, but the Venge isn't there. The Prophet TP's off the lane, and Aggressive to me is the big kind of quiet winner to come out of this.
Well, I agree with you, but at the same time, look at Bulldog's farm. He's right there with him, 25 CS. He has died a couple of times. He's also gotten a couple of kills of his own. Who do you think's benefiting the most in that situation?
It's really what they do with the farm more so than who's slightly ahead now. Like an early Boots of Travel at Ember, or even the drums, Aquila, and then just coming to a lot of fights. Aggressive could potentially take over, but if Bulldog has the better rotations, they take an early Roshan off of the Lycan, then suddenly Alliance get the edge. So I think it's a little too early to call it. For now, both heroes likely to have a big impact as this game moves along.
Coming right up on 6 minutes, it is a slight lead for Alliance, and by slight I mean actually it just jumped a bit, so it's about 1,000. Not something to shake a stick at this early on, but still certainly something that can be
moving in. They do have some vision here. MMY going with the stun. The follow-up comes from the Sunray, and the Sunstrike a bit off the mark, but I think they have enough fire to turn this.
And now here comes Bulldog. Bulldog contributing what he can. EGM's going to make it away, maybe just by the... No! Ends up trading 1 for 1 over in the woods, and now September tracked down by the big dog, and he's actually going to reach in.
He's got a TP, but no escape from the Bulldog.
Can't make it into the shadows. And that is a very favorable trade for Alliance, losing just the Warlock in exchange for MMY. And, of course, our Beastmaster, and our Phoenix as well.
Aggressive is going to need to have a big game. Maybe going for the Exhort build. This takes longer before it can really contribute in team fights. Has not gone for Quaswex. Will not have too much team fight impact and hasn't had a great start in the mid lane. Aggressive is the one hero for LGD that's had a good start. Yeah, he died early, but he's gotten basically free farm since then. So he's got to come up big. He certainly has in the past for C-Deck. Can he do it now for LGD?
It looks like this Tier 1 top should drop without a whole lot of... No, never mind, they did back. I thought for sure they were just going to look to push and peck instead. Aggressive had a ton of time to farm down at bottom. The offshoot, though, for Alliance is EGM gained about another level and a half. He's closing in on level 6. Now, is level 6 going to be the pure go words, you think, for Alliance, or are they going to be delaying for maybe a different kind of timing window?
A level 6 is where Alliance can more confidently force fight. So that either means considering a Roshan, taking a Tier 1 mid or bottom. I think if you're Alliance, you want to find the kill that leads into a tower. Probably don't try to sneak Rosh, or if you do, you have the Warlock ult as the backup. So should LGD walk into the pit, they don't actually have Phoenix Egg yet, although September doing pretty well in terms of levels. He's actually slightly ahead of Xiao8. And again, this is where, yeah, Xiao8 technically playing more of the offlane role normally, but in this game, it's almost like he's going to be the support at this stage, and we'll catch up later on. So they'll have some teamfight ultimates, but I still think with the Rock and the Coil, it's going to be very hard for LGD to contest in a 5v5 at this stage.
Aggressive has continued to farm well, but damn if Bulldog isn't right there with him once again. Those drums are not far away. Hell, they may be on the way to him. They are.
Oh, Aggressive, first move of the game. He's top. And there is no vision of this in Vizrune. Here we go.
Gets eyes on Loda. Let's see if he... Looks like he's looking for a squishier target. Loda might be a little tough to track down. He is level 7, has his ult to rely on.
They have no roar yet, so this is not really a possible kill.
Yep, that's exactly what I was just checking, was to see if level 6 was there. Bulldog's also in the vicinity, and again, tanked up a bit from those drums, so maybe a bit of a missed opportunity. Bad luck for LGD.
Yeah, Alliance perhaps suspicious at this point as they see MMY going for... or I think he had poked his head out in the bottom lane. So when the Lion takes over the lane, that's generally a sign that the core has gone missing. And at this point, Aggressive, he's been gone for a while. They seem to know, even if they're not 100% sure, Aggressive quite likely is attempting to gank. So good map awareness from them. They're going to dodge it. They do have the roar now. Let's see, should Alliance try to fight into this? The Rock is ready. Smoke gank, here we go.
Let's see if they can get the angle. Aggressive. Right there, they're going to run right into Xiao8. Let's see how they want to engage this. There's going to be the jaunt. Bulldogs there, gets the sprout and the waning rift. Rocks down and Aggressive can't move. Coil secures that kill. Make it a killing spree for Bulldog, who has just had a phenomenal early game, and now for sure that Tier 1 is meat. Question of how deep they want to push if they want to make a run at the Tier 2.
Well, Alliance historically known for dominating the top Chinese teams, and it dates all the way back to G1 League.
Oh, yeah.
And leading up to their TI3 run where they eventually would take the title. This lineup hasn't really played that many, and, you know, could easily ask, will that continue? But everything going their way right now. The laning stage went great from the first blood through the rotations of Bulldog. They're taking towers. Warlock ult comes online, very likely to look towards Roshan in the next 5-10 minutes, depending on when they find the next picks, the next towers. And then it'll be objective gaming for them. For LGD, may turn into more of a stall game. Use the Hawk to gain vision, go for the Ember Spirit ganks, and spread the map a bit. Invoker split pushing quite likely with the Midas coming fairly soon. So LGD, definitely a decent fighting lineup, but I think the way the game's developing, they're going to have to rely on the pickoffs and fight around the timings. That's the other big thing for Alliance. Very reliant on the Rock and the Puck ultimate, and currently both are on cooldown.
Well, I'll tell you what I do like, speaking of Midas, EGM has already picked up the recipe. He's going to have that complete here soon. So Alliance showing that they're going to prioritize.
Classic EGM.
Oh, no, I love it. I absolutely love it. I remember back in my day, there used to be, a bit of mid play. Hang on, S4 caught in mid, and he's going to be blown up immediately. So LGD flexing their muscles a little bit.
But look at that. He got the tower tonight. So S4 goes down, but he still takes a pretty big win for his team. But now LGD, they might be able to go for 2. They do have the Forge Spirits, as well as the Inner Beast Star. Just the single point in it for now. At least we'll force out the Glyph. But that, to me, was just like a classic Xiao8 gank. As soon as he sees a key spells on cooldown, immediately calls for the smoke. They wrap around, they find the pick, and they do it while taking objectives. So. Yep. Nice for LGD, but now the ultimate's coming off cooldown soon. They'll likely step it back 40 seconds into that next ult, and on the side of Alliance, you see the early drums coming out for Bulldog, now building into the Orchid. So it looks like Alliance are going for the fairly early game items and will be looking to apply some pressure here.
He is building into the Orchid. The drums came out quite a bit, just picked up his Oblivion staff.
Yep.
So looking really, really sharp.
I love the Midas on Warlock. Whenever you play this hero, you want to get a lot of farm levels. The Ags is fantastic. If you want to go for more of a support build, that's an option. But knowing EGM, it'll be all about the deeps, and that means the double Golem as quickly as possible.
Well, speaking of Golem, 5 seconds until that's off cooldown, and Alliance quite happy to move into the Roche pit with that as their comfort.
They see it, but I think Alliance pretty much don't care.
No.
LGD, come at
Look
us
how fast it's
if
dying.
you want. You're not going to win this fight.
Yep. And let's see what they want to do with it. Tier 1, bottom, makes an appetizing target, give Alliance a chance to try to take the jungle over. How do you feel? I mean, we could take a look at the graphs and we could see yada yada. Obviously, Alliance is in the lead. That gank did cost them a bit, as well as losing S4. But taking a look at their item progression, I'm liking Alliance's chances, man. The Vlad's is out, as you had mentioned. And now the Blink. That was the one item I was waiting to see when it was going to be available.
Oh, aggressive. That's a bit too deep. He thought about it, but not going to commit. LGD is looking to play the stalling game, especially with the Aegis picked up by Alliance. Alliance, a decent late game lineup. By no means are they particularly weak there, but this is really their time to shine for like the 12 to the 30-minute mark or so. It's a pretty big window at the start they had where they have the better pushing lineup. Ember Spirit takes a while to come online. It appears Aggressive is going into the Boots of Travel from the amount of gold he saved up, which likely means he'll be looking to spread the map. The Exhort Invoker wants to do the same thing, split push with Forge Spirits. Normally the BOTs with Blink are likely choices. If you do want to fight, Yule Scepter a possibility. We've even seen the route of Atos at times from Fada, but that's more when you're having a good start and the team's actually in a position to take those team fights. So I expect LGD to try and slow this game down, play the split push game. Alliance will be the ones controlling the tempo, forcing towers, especially when they have the Warlock ult and especially when they have the Aegis, which, hey, currently they got both. So tier 2s, good luck. You're going to need it.
Yeah, this is one of those situations where if you're Alliance, just push until you hit a wall, man. There's no reason not to. Blink is up on MMY's Lion, though. That is a very key item. Being able to initiate, have some kind of counter punch capability into this lineup of Alliance that is so strong at pushing lanes and taking towers. And yeah, that's what they're going to do. They're going straight to tier 3. Book 3, unless he's got something on the courier I'm not seeing, still a bit off for Loda. And they just want to force them back. Let's see how much they want to commit here.
Yeah, if you're LGD, you got to be careful. Don't want to get caught by the Warlock ultimate. Alliance trying to bait with Loda, who has the Aegis, so a great target to do so with. Ember Spirit only the level 1 Sleight of Fist. Here we go. MMY blinking in, looking for the stun. The Meteor comes through, but man, that damage. LGD getting forced back in a hurry as S4 dishes it out with the orb away after the silence, bringing 3 heroes pretty low.
And they are chunking this tier 3, my friend. They've already got it down to about half health.
They're trying
Loda,
to snipe the Aegis.
Oh, they got it.
They might have had him with the Sunstrike, but instead they commit the finger. That's a long cooldown at this stage.
Up, here we go. Loda uses the ultimate. There's going to be the rock as that's dropped. Xiao Wade in trouble over on the side. In the meantime, Ake being burned down by Aggressive. He'll be able to bring him down. Bulldog, same boat. Loda's going to be brought down as well. And this is a pretty big win for LGD, having sniped the Aegis, now wiping 3
and
off the
Aggressive
map.
got more. It's a 4 for 3. It might be S4 too. Aggressive needs a little more mana. MMY blinking in the jukes by S4. There's no mana for a Hex. He's going to orb forward. Actually, back in the end, looks like he was going for Aggressive, but Aggressive got out of the path of fire. Absolute madness there. Really good swap to try and save the Lycan. Didn't end up working out in the end, but and that was with a finger getting committed just to pop the Aegis. That's a big cooldown for LGD at this stage of the game, but great hold. MVP of that fight for sure is September, who gets off a huge Phoenix egg. Loda was like, do I run away and my team loses this fight, or do I run in, kill the egg, maybe I die, but we win it? He tried to run in and kill the egg. He ends up dying, and the team ends up losing the fight. Unfortunate, but just a tough situation. Really good patience by September.
Now with that hold, LGD has essentially eliminated half of the lead. That more than half now, as we can see it continue to climb in both gold and experience that Alliance had built over that first 15 minutes. So now you're Alliance, you got a bit of a bloody nose, man. What are you thinking? I mean, you know, not to say you should abandon ship and try to do something wonky, but you've got to pivot now. What's the play?
Slow the game down. If you're Alliance, you're probably thinking we should have gone for the easier towers. There's still a tier 1 up mid, which they could have easily taken tier 2 bottom, backed out, let the Prophet push in the top lane, and then everybody groups up mid. LGD's not going to contest there. They might not even contest at the tier 2s. They're probably just hoping you do go high ground. So In that sense, I think Alliance a little bit overeager, played into the hands of LGD, but at the same time, they know they'll have at least a second win. Well, maybe not. MMY going in with the Sunstrike combo onto S4, and they slay the Fairy Dragon. Nice pick.
Here we go, MMY TPing away very quickly. Bulldog was there to react and unable to pay him back. You know, as much as we've ballyhooed the tower-taking capability and push of Alliance, they're actually down a tower right now, man. There are 3 towers standing for LGD as of right now.
This is the power of the Exort Invoker Beastmaster, where
yeah.
you have Ember, who is very much not about taking towers, Lion's not, and Phoenix isn't. Alliance have Avenge, who's a great pusher, Warlock, who wants to be a part of those pushing lineups, even though doesn't kill towers itself. Like in a Prophet, huge at pushing, but those 2 heroes for LGD alone, so good that they've made up for it.
4-man smoke from LGD. They're going to move across towards the dire side secret.
They have a Hawk on the Ake. Kill here could be big, might lead to a tower.
This should be easy. Immediately the Sun Ray to follow. There's going to be TPs coming in, but they're coming into a full team fight. Here we go. MMY is yeah, there we go. Egg coming in. He's going to be able to fly through. Bulldog burning down very quickly. EGM's down to about half health. In the meantime, maybe trying to flee. Aggressive, looking for safety over in the woods. Loda's going to be able to chase him down.
That
with the
micro blocking him in. Aggressive doesn't have a remnant for 3 seconds. Can Loda finish him off? Oh, the ultimate ends. Aggressive might just get away.
Using his last little bit of mana to jump away.
There's
S4
a blink
was
on 3.
Yep.
Can S4 get him? This is a long chase. Going to be tough. I think he makes it out, but we'll see. Orb's not going to connect. He needs the orb on the silence here, but well, this feels like the team fights. It's rock versus egg. If it were a real rock and a real egg, I'm pretty sure that the rock wins 9 times out of 10. But that Phoenix egg, it's almost gotten off 2 team fights in a row. If it hits the ground, Alliance get absolutely wrecked there with another dive, another round of spirits. Close calls for them, and makes you wonder, as this goes later, with an Ember Spirit and a Midas Quas Exor Invoker, can Alliance afford to have even trades at this stage of the game?
Oh, no, I completely agree with you, man. Alliance, they've lost steam. I mean, we can see that they're doing okay. I mean, it's not as if they're losing the game by any stretch of the imagination. When you're staring at a late-game Beastmaster, Ember Spirit, Invoker combo, and then, of course, MMY's Lion, I mean, this is just getting scary very, very quickly. And we'll see how they want to go about changing things up, if at all. I mean, again, being able to manage the map as well as they have, maintain control, and Alliance knows it. They're now running with 2 in smoke. It's going to be just Ake and S4 hoping to find a target. They may see
MMY is up on the high ground. He's there to reveal the smoke. The Ember zips away. MMY blinks to the north. Will he make it out? It doesn't look like it. It's kind of a short blink. S4 catches him, but great support positioning. The stun dodge. Very good phase shift, but there is no running from Momoya.
Giving the kill to S4 as well. LGD was in transit, but didn't get there quite quickly enough. There's the book done now for the book 2, I should say, done for Loda. And in the meantime, LGD just continues to farm away. We can see Bulldog has springboarded up to the top of the net worth. Ember Spirit, though, is right behind him. Then it's just kind of a back and forth all the way down the line.
I'm really curious to see what Bulldog goes for here. Typical Bulldog would be into the Aghanim Scepter, Octa-Reed Core, go for the full-on split push. There is an option to go for a BKB here. Tons of magic damage that would be blocked by that, a lot of disables. And it's going to say a lot about the Alliance game plan. If this is a BKB, this really is a tell that Alliance feel like they are on a timer. They need to end the game by ideally 30 to 40 minutes, or at least have 1 to 2 lanes of racks at that point. If it's more of the Aghanims build, maybe a sign that Alliance feels they can take it late.
Yeah, I was kind of thinking the same thing. Is Scepter here? I don't know. It's got to be so hard to make that call against an Invoker and an Ember Spirit combination, especially whenever you do have Inner Beast.
Look at this. Dagon coming out for the S4 puck. He's a little tired of the Lion and the Phoenix, and this gives them that burst to be able to kill them before the egg comes out, before MMY gets off his disables. And I think Alliance are recognizing September has been huge in these team fights, and they need to shut him down. But this is an item you get to snowball. You don't buy a Dagon for the late game team fights. You buy it to win the fights right in here, right now.
That's exactly what I was just getting ready to say. I think that's going to answer our question so far, is whether or not Alliance is super confident in going to the late game. If they were,
it is BKB for Bulldog as well.
Yep,
So
exactly.
They really want to win in the next 10 to 15.
Well, they're holding and looking for another push opportunity sometime soon. Probably going to wait on Bulldog's BKB before fully committing to anything. If you're Loda, what's your item choice? Like, what are you looking for your next big item? Something simple like a BKB?
BKB, Assault Cuirass is a decent option. I mean, LGD have a great damage mix. They've got quite a bit of pure damage, lots of physical, some magic. So a BKB would be great against the magic damage. AC helps you to break the base. Either way, he's not farming spectacularly by any means. So that next item will be a ways off. For now, Alliance looking for the Rosh. I don't know if Loda's going to get to farm another item before they go for the push. If they do, that's a lot of time for Aggressive, and it's a lot of time for Maybe as well.
Aggressive, speaking of, spotted Bulldog and vice versa, and neither of them decide they want to fight it out. So they will be pulling back Alliance. Yep, now they know that Rosh is up, and they're going to send Bulldog in to do it all by his lonesome.
There's no Remnant in the pit, no Hawk here. I don't know if LGD want to contest, but generally you'd at least like to know if they are Roshing. So this should be a freebie for Alliance. At best, LGD may be going to split push the top lane.
Yep. Oldest trade in Dota. If they decide to take it, trade the.
It really is.
And I cannot. I would say 60 to 70% of every game of Dota I've ever casted has had a trade of the dire tier top tier 2 for an Aegis. Like almost every single game in my entire career.
Yeah, unless the Radiant team is totally stomping, in which case they take the tower and the Aegis.
Yeah, exactly.
Has not been the case this game.
So if you're LGD, man, what's the play? Like, are you simply playing, are you playing this defensive style game where you just want to hang back, you feel confident going to the late game so you don't necessarily want to disrupt them, or do you maybe want to mix it up? Because they could very easily just play a defensive style of game. If they want to hang on, there's going to be, MMY caught out over in the dire side jungle, so Alliance finding a pick.
Yeah, it's definitely the former. You just want to slow the game down, minimize casualties, avoid fights as much as possible, split push, farm for late game, especially when you see Alliance's items. You see Bulldog building a BKB. Sure, he'll get one as like his 5th, 6th item on Nature's Prophet, but this is a clear tell that Alliance are trying to end the game early. LGD are going to see that, recognize they're up against an Aegis. There's no reason to fight outside the base. You're best inside the base, where you have the Phoenix Egg, where you can reliably just spam Sleight of Fist, which, by the way, is now level 4, so LGD getting a lot better at slowing down the push, and just slow the game down. In fact, S4 even leveling up the Dagon. Unusual puck build, but I don't disagree with it at all. If you can burst the Phoenix before he gets off Egg, that's a game-winning fight.
Going to be a 3-man smoke. Bulldog, of course, is right there with him, and Loda's not far behind. It's S4 who's out front. Moving now into the Radiant side jungle. He's going to look for a target. Unfortunately, nobody's home. All of LGD sniffing this out, it would seem, as Invoker's the furthest one away, and he's still under the safety of his own tier 2. Loda even baiting a bit here in mid, showing his face across the river, so pretty transparent, I think.
Well, look at all the scouting. The Hawk gets sniped by S4, but the Orb might have been spotted as well, and LGD are going to back away. It's the game of cat and mouse. Things are getting tense. You do not want to be defending tier 2, because if you lose this tower, Alliance get a free lane of Rex instead of having to fight for it. So they will try to slow it down, but very wary of that S4 jump.
All right, here's going to be the question. How committed to this last push is Alliance going to be? Given their itemization, I think it's
Ember
big.
just BOT'd out, so does he have a Remnant up? Yeah, has one in the base, but Alliance going to waste no time in rotating onto the bottom lane. They want to break the base right here, right now. Aggressive. Try to slow it down.
Up here we go, going straight onto the tower and watch it melt. Great use of the upheaval just to try to zone some folks out.
Already lost the Aegis. He just burned down so fast. They haven't committed anything. The Phoenix Egg still in line. They even have Aurora in Alliance.
That happened so quickly, I didn't even catch it.
He just melted. They have so much spam, so much nuke damage, and it's without committing the big spells. The Roar's still online. The Egg's still available. Alliance, at the same time, tier 3 is down bottom lane. They do some chip damage, but it's very tough to push into LGD. The problem is, Aaron, it only gets tougher. Invoker, with the Ags closing in on the level 4 Invoke, maybe almost can push out a lane by himself. Ember Spirit at some point can just instantly kill the creep wave with one Sleight of Fist, and then you're going to have to commit bodies to the racks, and that's a dangerous proposition.
Well, September moving under cover of smoke. Let's see what he wants to get up to. Now, I agree with you. I'm not saying you should commit to a bad fight there, but I don't really see this getting any better anytime soon. Especially, like you said, the Lycan died so quickly. Didn't even see a BKB used off the Nature's Prophet. Didn't see the rock drop. Didn't see anything happen.
I think they see Loda pop his ult, die anyway, and they're like, okay, we're going to be fighting with regular Lycan and no Aegis, and they haven't used any spells. So this does not bode well for round 2 of the fight. We're going to wait for a rainy day, but again, what's the item for Alliance? I don't know that there really is an item. To me, it's much more about the pickoffs. Like Loda, BKB, likely under construction here. Highly doubt it's a Desolator or Maelstrom, so he'll get his BKB, but is that really a game-changing item? You still have Roar for him. You still have the right-click of the Invoker Forge Spirits, Ember Spirit, Sleight of Fist. I don't think liking BKB is a game winner by any means. Could help. S4 is leveling up Dagon, but that's not really a game changer.
What about Refresher? I mean, a Refresher at the very least gives you
That's probably the closest thing.
Yeah, and EGM's making progress. He's already got up a Perseverance, so that's moving in the right direction at the very least, but it's still a ways off, and all this time you were going to see Aggressive just moving from lane to lane. He's already got up his Yasha. He's had the Battle Fury up for ages now. And we're just at 26 minutes. This game feels like it's been going a lot longer because of the kill count, at least in comparison to the vast majority of the rest of the games of this tournament. But there's also just been such up and down and changes of general advantage and momentum. And Bulldog's going to have to do a lot of work to keep the lanes pushed out, maybe try to pressure and get a pick off here or there. I'm like you, though, man. It's hard to see where the light at the end of the tunnel is going to be, barring some big mistake from LGD.
I mean, that's really what it should come down to. At this point, LGD, they have their core items where they can actually take fights, and they can win them.
Right.
But they don't even need to. They can continue farming for late game. They farm overall faster than Alliance. Nature's Prophet can maybe keep up, but the hero does not use farm as well as an Ember Spirit. Even an Invoker is going to get more out of the same net worth, and especially the way Bulldog is itemized. So you have to be significantly ahead, which he's really not. Lycan can't even keep up as the game goes later. Eventually, Ember Spirit's going to be just one-shotting waves. Lycan has to hit every creep to bring them down. So the way Alliance itemized put them on a timer, I think had they gone for more of a late game build, they might have extended the window, but frankly, eventually LGD is just going to be better in that situation anyway. Yep. So it's just been, to me, very reminiscent of the old LGD. You know, Gods has been talking about Navi Alliance, TI3. Wouldn't it be great if they're in the finals? But this kind of reminds me of the old high ground Kings LGD, who were just so hard to break inside their base. They only had to make the one stand, but look how big that one stand is. It's been like 15 minutes since Alliance has really taken a shot at the base.
Well, hasn't been quite that long if you want to count Loda just literally melting on the steps.
I don't even know if that counts as a shot. Well, it was a very poor shot. If it was.
Somewhere between a shot and a pine, right?
Yeah. Here they go again, though.
Alliance ready to try this one last time. The BKBs are fresh. S4, oh, here we go. He's going to be, that Manta paying off immediately. His Bulldog did manage to use the Orchid. Could have been a huge point of initiation.
How do you deal with the Ember now? It's going to require incredible control. There's no Hex out. S4 with the Dagon being leveled up. Great against potentially the Phoenix. Not so good at killing off the Ember Spirit. At this point, you could have a Hex had you gone for it. So Aggressive feeling way more confident, and well, he can be aggressive. How fitting.
I mean, Alliance, I guess, can try to chip away at this as much as they want, but, you know, there are books on both sides. There are creeps on both sides.
4 on Wolf action.
Yeah.
Spicy stuff. Here's the BKB. Lotus just going to run right in.
There's the Rock. He actually managed to get a few. S4 swapped out by Ake. Ake manages to keep him alive a little bit longer, but MMY now being chased all the way back to the fountain. Phoenix, in the meantime, emerges from the egg. It's a 2-for-1 so far favoring Alliance. Let's see if they can get something out of it. Loda just being absolutely melted by the Sunray. And now it's going to be S4 trying to take his exit. EGM, in the meantime, was playing back near the back lines, I should say. Ends up being a 2-for-2, but all in all, a win once again for LGD. That's going to be bots coming out for the Invoker. They didn't kill either of them, the most important cores for LGD, and that might be the death rattle, the death gasp of Alliance's chances here.
I think Xiaowei actually roared a creep there. It looked like Loda just got pushed back, not actually stood. I could be wrong, but if that's true, they still hold the base. The Rex doesn't even take damage there. The Rage Rex, sure, but the Melee Rex is absolutely fine.
Right.
Again, September. Look, you look at the net worth on the Ember Spirit, the Invoker, you're like, these guys are surely going to have the biggest team fight impact. That Sunray like saves the fight, completely bails them out, and Phoenix, again, coming up huge. And that's not even the ultimate. This is just a regular spell for Phoenix.
Alliance really in some trouble. And the funny thing is, they're still, in terms of gold at least, the experience is now drawn back in favor of LGD. They're still technically ahead in net worth, but man, you can just feel the oxygen sucked out of the room in terms of them having any real control of the pace of the game from here on out. Roche has respawned, or will be responding.
They want to make a move here on Bulldog. BOT in from maybe. Here we go. Bulldog backing out. Aggressive arrives. Suddenly, 5 just rushing down mid. They're going to cut back towards Ake. Where are you going, buddy? Sunstrike's there. Tornado 2. Maybe he'll basically make it a solo kill.
Down for 45 seconds now, and they've got a head of steam and a lane of creeps.
I think you go to the base.
Yeah, why wouldn't you?
The Warlock ult's on cooldown. EGM, is there any way you could get the refresher? Not really. So they're going to be fighting without the rock for at least the first round of this siege.
Yep, still about 800 gold or so off of having the refresher. Bulldog neutered, unfortunately. They took him to the vet, as he just has not felt very effective at all this entire game.
No kids for the dog.
All right, let's see.
It's a sad tale. Hopefully the game is a bit happier for Alliance, but it is looking bleak right now.
Up,
Sunstrike. They don't have to do this. Like, they could just back off. They can chill, push out all the lanes. By the time the next Roshan comes along, and they, even if Alliance goes for it, I think LGD at this point are in a position to contest.
Yep.
And speaking of that next Roshan, the Wolf has scouted it out. And shall we maybe make a move in? No, it looks like LGD going to play it slow. They're very patient with this, and they just understand there's no rush. They can farm. There's a lot more big items to be picked up, and if they go for fights, it's going to be on their terms, not feeling like they're forced into anything.
Yeah, it looks like they're happy to just clear the final towers out, as it will be the bottom tier 2. That might be the side of a next fight. Alliance looks like they want to fight. Smoke 4S4.
The Hawk has scouted Loda, but the whole Alliance team is behind him. It is a trap. Not going to take the bait.
Is there a smoke on anyone here? I would actually adore a fake back by LGD. Like, if they did that right now, no, no smoke, and poor Phoenix is left out by himself. They may just hang and wait and hope to get up. Never mind, maybe he's leaving.
Push out all the lanes, play for the late game. Don't let them get a free Roshan. Park the Hawk over the pit. The Necrobook can do some scouting. See another Hawk up in the jungle. So LGD just going to play the farm game. Starvation Dota is on the menu. But Alliance are going to try to force this Roshan. I think this will be the first contest of the game. It certainly looks like LGD wants to. Who's going to take it?
Sunstrike, and I bet Alliance bails. There's no way they feel confident taking this fight whatsoever. Yeah, there's a Hex. Now that's a big item, I think, for Bulldog. Now having the Orchid,
make it work.
Having the Orchid and the Hex to deal with the Ember, maybe shut down the Phoenix.
He's got a BKB though. Can they burst him in time? It's going to be tough. The Warlock ult comes out. Big commitment. They get the kill. Invoker does go down, and we're not done yet.
I mean, they just blew everything, though. And now there's going to be the roar. Loda's about to lose his ult. Ake swaps him out, dies immediately, and Loda's back to his normal form. They pop BKBs, they drop Warlock ult, and there was nobody home except for the Invoker.
They really want September. Bad roll Bulldog in through the front lines. He's going to find MMY. Now the Phoenix Egg. Here we go.
Aggressive, trying to hold the line just for a moment. No, they do manage to bring him down, and now Alliance is very low health. Xiaowei just doesn't have a whole lot to contribute, and one last auto attack secures the kill. 4S4. Alliance against all odds. Again, the pickoff on the Invoker is such a big deal, but it looked like they were rushing uphill into dark territory with a lot of cooldowns, just not at their disposal. Instead, they now force out the buyback from Phoenix. It's going to be him and Xiaowei trying to hold tier 3.
Oh, and one fell swoop. No buybacks here on the cores at a critical moment. Invoker, Ember Spirit, buying that next item and not having any gas left of the tank for round 2. They're going to lose at least one lane. Or maybe not. Popping the glyph. Heroes are respawning. They're still committing for this one. They really want that melee Rex. They can't quite get it, though.
Aggressive come back out. There's going to be the BKB by Loda. Going to try to give chase instead with the Invoker back up. Looks like this could be very bad. There's the Icarus dive. Admiral Bulldog caught from behind by the Tornado. And if they're able to bring him down, and they will be.
They have Roar ready, but unfortunately Xiaowei taking damage. Can't blink forward. He really wants to find that additional pick.
That's got to hurt, leaving the melee racks with 100 HP, man.
Normally you'd say, well, they have Bulldog on Nature's Prophet. Surely they'll just rat it, but it's very dangerous to try for that against BOT Invoker, BOT Ember, and as well as a Beastmaster. And also, none of the other lanes have been taken, so there won't be any counter pressure elsewhere to deal with. That almost was a total catastrophe for LGD, though.
It was.
And, you know, it's in a situation where it didn't need to even be risky, but sometimes you buy that next item, you think the game's safe, and it can get very ugly.
Here we go. There's going to be a coil. Only caught one, but it's one they wanted. It was maybe. And S4 just dies. It looks like he was expecting some more support from his team.
These hero wolves did manage to find the Rex while it was happening. Now Ake, though, in trouble. Aggressive. Snagging a double. Looking for more. EGM fingered and finished off LGD. Well, there's one melee Rex down for the side of Alliance, but I'm not sure that's enough with the way this game's going.
Yeah, looks like LGD not going to be able to capitalize too much, except going for Roche. Okay, I was going to say, are they just going to pull back? But no, they're going to move on into the pit. But speaking of disaster, Alliance gave back every bit of momentum they had earned with that previous fight. You know, that was kind of weird on both sides, man. A little weird the way Alliance won that fight, moving uphill with the cooldowns on, and again, you know, Loda's BKB being expired, being in his normal form, they still managed to win that fight. And then we see LGD win that engagement there, and it all started with S4 blinking into a terrible situation, what seemed to be, had to have been a miscommunication or just a misread of the situation as a whole.
So now LGD find themselves in a position where not only do they have Aegis and Cheese, but they have the double buyback, Ember and Invoker.
Right.
They have basically 4 insurance policies. So for Alliance, they're going to have to win, basically do twice what they did in the last engagement in order to be able to break the base. Else, they can at least put themselves in a position where LGD have to play more carefully, but LGD have a lot more breathing room now. The one piece of good news is that bottom lane of Rax. Melee brought down. Maybe with that, Alliance can start to play more of the split push, the rat game, but it's, again, LGD have a really good lineup to deal with this. 3 heroes that are exceptionally mobile.
Taking a look, we could see it is going to be an Assault Cuirass pickup, or at least it seems to be. That's the direction Load is thinking of going here. The refresher did complete for the Warlock, so I mean, a little too little, too late. I don't know. We saw how powerful the golems were in the last fight. I'm just trying to think it through, man. You're going to have to walk me through it. Like, you know, being able to play for the late game is not something I think Alliance is going to be very comfortable for. So what's the sequence of events as you play this the next 10, 15 minutes out in your head that equal a victory for Alliance? Like, what do you want to see happen and in what order?
It's really the sight device of Bulldog. I think that's where it's got to start. They need to use that, perhaps with S4, smoke behind him, Jumpy with a Blink Dagger, and now Dagon 5, so he's fully committed. We'll probably start building into a Hex now, I imagine, but if they can find the pickoffs with the Hex, they can take fights. But just running 5v5 into LGD, even if you get the double rock on the entire team, there's extra lives. There's BOTs to worry about. So you probably have to commit double Warlock ult just to get a kill on a core. And then Aggressive has Aegis. Maybe Invoker gets off a Cheese. If not, they buy back and rejoin the fight. So that's where you're not just going to win the game off of one team fight unless LGD make really silly mistakes. You're going to have to find pickoffs that force buybacks or that force pressure on towers and slowly but surely chip away at the lead. You can't just win it in one fell swoop, barring, again, huge mistakes. huge mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes were made already once. LGD able to weather the storm.
And the thing is, it makes it a lot less likely they're going to happen like quite that catastrophically again.
Yep, exactly.
If LGD lose this game, it's not going to be because both of their cores are caught without buyback or Aegis or Cheese. Like, they'll at least have one of those things, probably both.
Do want to point out it's only in the last minute or two that we've actually crossed the 0 line for the first time since the horn blew, because Alliance did come out ahead in the very first engagement before the horn. It has been south of the border for that gold the entire time of this 39-minute game until now.
They do have swap into Hex potentially if the Nature's Prophet is nearby, so maybe they can make a play at Aggressive if they're going to actually start it off with the Hex, but he's still the Aegis carrier, and MMY just sees a kill on Bulldog. BKB forced out. They're on the chase. S4 coming from behind.
See if S4 wants to get involved again. Maybe a little wonky engagement from Alliance that time. Looked like
Courier wants to get involved too.
Yeah, hey, got to throw everything at him, right? But Scotty now done. Jeez, that is a tanky Ember Spirit now. 2,600 effective HP with Mantis style and the Aegis. I just don't know how they're going to cope with him now. Even with a Hex, even with everything going the way that you just so eloquently outlined, it's just hard to imagine how they're going to be able to bring him down not just once, but twice, but 3 times.
Well, keep in mind, he does not have buyback anymore, and the Aegis expires in a minute and a half, so Aggressive will need to be careful. LGD, they don't really have the best direct defensive supports. The heal from Phoenix is decent, but there's no Dazzle or Venge or anything like that, so look for LGD to try and use the Aegis now and to try and force Alliance to fight before this Aegis expires, and it looks like that's exactly what's about to happen.
Aggressive leading the charge. We'll see how well Alliance has this Aegis despawn timer committed to memory. They're going to take the melee racks, looks like pretty much for free. Tornado helping zone them out a little bit.
They found Loda. It's the Hawk.
Oh,
Kaboom!
Oh, man. The Hawk doing work. Enough critters on the map that getting your 2 cents worth out of our winged friend certainly beneficial, and that is actually such a huge deal because, I mean, they're going to end up either forcing him to buy back. Yeah, he's going to have to buy back here. They can't afford to give up 2 sets of racks, LD.
You can see Bulldog throwing TPs on the bottom lane. He's just not really sure what to do, but LGD are in the base. Alliance really don't have much time left. They got to take this fight, take it now. I think they're waiting out the Aegis here. It's going to expire fairly soon. They commit. The BKB comes out, and now the rock gets dropped. Here we go.
Rock's down. They're going to try to turn this. Aggressive still has the Aegis. He may just feed it. When is that going to despawn? It's got to be super close. Yeah, it just went away. So now, yep, he's going to be able to get himself back up to full health off of it. And they're going to continue to pursue this out. LGD with 3 down on the side of Alliance. The racks are for the taking. Loda is about to biff it again. That's probably going to be your ball game, LD.
That at that point, it's just like nothing's going Alliance's way. Nope. Damn it, just won't you end in time, but it didn't work out. LGD, bend but don't break defense. Alliance had options this game as far as how they itemized, but the way they itemized, it was just they have to win on that first push, or at least force something big out of LGD on the second one. They didn't find the opportunity. Really good high ground defense. Gotta say, the September Phoenix, it's become a bit of a growing legend in China, and we see why now. Great at stopping the push. Normally, you're just seeing this hero mainly picked for the Sunray, but the Phoenix eggs this game were also equally huge. And LGD, a team that many doubted coming into this event, suddenly find themselves on the verge of a winner bracket finals appearance.
Not just the egg, my friend. We saw that Sunray do so much work, not just doing damage, but the heal, the sustain, the ability to just make sure you're giving away absolutely nothing for free in the early game, really paying off and paying huge dividends. So, I mean, a 42-minute game that really was more lopsided than I think. I mean, it's one of those things, it's one of those bizarre games where as casters we look at it and there's just that one fight and you're like, oh, Alliance, you know something's changed, even though when you look at the graphs, it looks close, it looks like it really hasn't swung that far away from them. But ultimately the payoff was we saw exactly what we expected by the end.
Yeah, well, credit to Gods, he jumped ship at the right time. He's like, I'm going to Lights. Just kidding, I'm all in LGD. So we'll see moving forward to the series. I think we saw very good individual play from both teams. The Warlock pick was definitely unconventional. I think both teams are capable of still taking the series, but to me this shows the depth of LGD, that they can go for a bit of a late game strat. I think they were intending to be a lot more aggressive, using the Hawk to scout, go for Roar, pickoffs with Sunstrike, Ember for aggressive to set those ganks up as well. But they adapted to the way the game developed. When they started giving up some additional kills that they weren't planning on, when they forfeited towers, they played the split push game, they slowed it down. Going back to that first big Alliance push in the high ground, looking back at it, if you're Alliance, there's a tier 1 up mid, there's tier 2s up top and mid. Probably should have gone for those first, get the next round of items, and be a little more disciplined about the siege. They got ahead of themselves.
No, agreed. Agreed was the word that came to mind, too. Just, I mean, you summed it up so well, my friend. When you look back at where things went wrong, a lot of it just came down to Alliance went for a little too much, a little too quickly. When they had the game in control, if they had maybe just held on a little bit longer, maybe just slowly worked their way around the map and then try to choke out LGD, that would have allowed them to draw the game out longer without having to give up the late game advantage to heroes like Invoker and Ember Spirit. Anyway, guys, it is awesome to be here. Like LD said, suddenly we find LGD just one win away from a winner's bracket final appearance. We're going to find out if they're up to the test or if Alliance is going to be able to knot things up. We'll be right back to the panel to see what they think after this quick break. Stick with us.
E-Gaming Bet.